Good morning. Welcome to this Friday of November. The year is 2025, and we are here to keep you up to speed with what is happening in the country. First, we're going to be going through all the stories that are making headlines in the country, after which we're going to be going through the dailies. And of course, we're going to be talking to you about the matches that are going to be played over the weekend in the Premier League. After that, we'll be giving you your morning weather and your morning quarter. And I am your host, Alan Hubbard. And sign language interpreter this morning is Irene Chebi Water. To go straight into it, we started off with the news from Tanzania, as a government confirms a Kenyan teacher killed in Tanzania as the family continues to seek justice. Now, the government has for the first time confirmed that a Kenyan national was shot and killed during the recent post-election unrest in Tanzania. Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo, however, said that the state is taking all necessary steps to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of 33-year-old John Okoth Ogutu, a Kenyan teacher who had been living and working in Tanzania. And this is even as the grieving family of Ogutu returned to the Tanzanian High Commission along Taifa Road in Nairobi for the second time this week, clinging to the hope of receiving news on the repatriation of their loved ones' remains. But their hopes were dashed once more as officials instructed them to return on Monday, just as they had been told 4 days earlier. And also, the Kenyan government has called on to the Tanzanian government to confirm to it and assure to it that all Kenyan citizens in Tanzania are safe. Here are the details to the story.
Nilete barua Monday kwa ofisi ya High Commissioner ya TZ. Mpaka saa hii walituchukua namba yangu, mpaka saa hii hakuna nini yote wasaa tupigia watujulishe kuhusu maneno ya TZ kama mwili umepatikana ama bado.
Yake ndio tulipata jana, kufikia jana jioni, yenye wakati alipigwa na akapata kuanguka chini.
Is of grave national concern as it touches on the safety and protection of Kenyans working and residing abroad, particularly within the East African community. We want to know the diplomatic and consular interventions undertaken by the government of Kenya to ensure prompt, transparent, and independent investigations into the killing and to secure justice for the deceased and his family.
We are doing what it takes to be able to make the necessary arrangements for making sure that that particular case is handled in a manner that is respectful.
Tanzanians disputed election, and the African Union Observers mission on the just concluded and disputed elections reveals how the elections were manipulated into a resounding Samia Suluhu victory. Tanzania's controversial election that handed President Suluhu her first elected term and also handed the ruling party CCM the majority in parliament continues to draw criticism over the manner in which they were conducted. The latest report paints a damning picture of the environment during and after election day, indicating cases of ballot stuffing, internet blackouts, and abductions that compromised the integrity of the elections. The observers say the election failed to comply with AU's principles and standards for democratic elections. The AU observers noted that there was voter apathy in most polling stations across the country, and even then, the few voters who turned up were allowed to vote without identifying themselves. The mission also noted that in polling stations where only presidential ballot boxes were set up, there were instances of ballot stuffing where voters were issued multiple ballots to vote, compromising election integrity. The mission faulted the Tanzanian government for the internet shutdown and restriction of media freedom during the voting, counting, and tallying of the votes. Instead, during counting, the mission noted that ballot counts did not tally. Away from that story, now 6 more arrested in KCSE exam malpractice. Total suspects rise to 45. Now 6 more suspects have been arrested over alleged Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination malpractice, bringing the total number of culprits in 4 days to 45. Now, the suspects apprehended include students, invigilators, center management, and supervisors, with the Ministry of Education warning dire consequences for anyone implicated in exam cheating. Here are full details to this story. Away from matters examinations to Kalonzo Musyoka, as he urges inclusivity as Kenyans pay respect to late Raila Odinga. Now, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka visited the grave of the late Raila Odinga at Kango, Jaramogi, Siaya County, where he urged the people of Bondo and the Odinga family to allow all Kenyans, regardless of tribe or political affiliation, to pay their final respects to the late Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga's widow, Ida Odinga, said that the friendship between Kalonzo and the late Raila can never be erased, given the long political journey they shared, saying all those that loved Raila Odinga are welcomed to give their respects. Here are the full details to the story.
Happy to have you guys here, especially today, which is one of the hottest days. The
trenches. We say resist. Raila Odinga will be more powerful in death, I repeat, than when he was alive. Because he inspired the young Kenyans. He inspired the Gen Zs.
Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has been a friend of Baba for many, many years. And that friendship cannot be wiped out.
I know that the Kikuyu nation, for example, will come. Our brother Rigiji would want to come. And those who spoke badly spoke for themselves. And others will come.
Only those who love us, only those who love Raila Odinga, they are the ones who come here to the funeral. And for that, I'm very grateful. I know some people would like to mix it with the politicians, with politics. Personally, I'm not a politician. My husband was a superb politician, not me. So don't expect me to bring in any politician.
From that story now to Orange Party demands immediate compensation of protest victims under Raila Ruto 10-point agenda. The Orange Party now wants an immediate compensation of victims of protests as agreed in the 10-point agenda entered into by former Premier the late Raila Odinga and President William Ruto during the Raila Memorial Service at the Sonny Green Stadium in Awendo, Migori County. ODM leaders demanded full implementation of the 10-point agenda as goodwill of the broad-based government arrangement. See, here are the full details to the story.
The biggest part of our issue was also on compensation of victims. Na mimi nataka niombe our courts, our judiciary, our people who are hurt, the victims of post-election issues, are waiting, wanangoja compensation. Na baba pamoja na the president, they put together the committee under Professor Makau Mutua to handle compensation.
Watu wakaenda mahakama wakasimamisha hiyo maneno. Mimi naomba mahakama imalize hiyo kesi haraka ili vijana yetu ambayo wameumia hapa Migori, wameumia Homa Bay, wameumia Kisumu, wameumia Siaya, wameumia Mombasa wapate pesa yao.
Anatuimbia 2 term ama 1 term. Our 2 terms will be based on how the promises that we have been given will be implemented.
I and John Buddy, we have agreed. Once they tell us that this is the amount of money that is required to compensate our people, we will be able to do our part and be able to avail the resources.
Started ODM, and ODM means Orange Democratic Movement. Underline the word movement. Movement.
When it came to party and people issues, Raila had no compromise. When it came to issues ambayo inahusu wananchi, Raila hakukuwa na compromise yoyote.
Away from that now to politician Shadrach Maritim's disappearance. A mystery as a phone activity, a missing CCTV raise a question. And 10 days since the unexplained disappearance of former Tinderet parliamentary aspirant Shadrach Maritim from his residence on October 27, troubling inconsistencies have emerged. Despite no confirmed sightings, his mobile phone remains active and has been used to transfer funds and engage in online transactions. Meanwhile, critical CCTV footage that initially captured his last known moments as stepping onto the road for what appeared to be a routine jog has mysteriously vanished, with authorities remaining elusive. And detectives failed to secure the footage until nearly 4 days after his disappearance, raising concerns about procedure lapses. Evidence obtained by the investigation team reveals that Maritim's phone remained operational after he disappeared on the evening of 28th at 7:24 p.m. Hours after he was last seen. His device transferred 10,000 to Felix Kimutai Magut. Further transactions followed at 4:49 a.m. 3,500 was sent to the same recipient. On the morning of October 29th, the phone was used to purchase mobile data. Later that evening, at around 5 p.m., another transfer of 15,000 was made to Magut. On the night preceding his disappearance, Maritim was reported with his partner, Mercy Chebich. She expressed frustration over the sluggish response from investigators, noting that their phones were not confiscated until days later, despite being with Maritim during his final known hours. And the Chief Investigator David Muleli of Uasin County admitted that no substantial leads have surfaced regarding Maritim's location. And in 2022, Maritim was abducted and later found in Bungoma County. Here are the full details to the story.
Niseme nimedisappear. Of course watatafuta yule rafiki yangu Saidi wa karibu, wajue ya kwamba Weisi ya Masi anapitianga wapi, anafanyanga nini. Yeah. But today ndio wamechukua hizo simu for more investigations, which is it's too late. This is the 7th day missing person. It's too late for them to collect.
We are doing physical search. We have also submitted these phones to cybercrime for exploitations. Perhaps there could be any information that could lead us to exactly what happened.
And that is where we started off with the daily's roundup. And the headline in the Standard is Cells of Death. Now, at least 17 Kenyans have died in police custody in less than 2 years, exposing the grim reality of torture, cover-ups, and systematic neglect inside the country's police cells. Now, the Independent Medical Legal Unit paints a chilling picture of suspects who enter police custody alive and never make it out across the country. The pattern is disturbingly similar, and unexplained death, hastily written police reports, and families left searching for truth that never comes. That is a story that you'll find on page 4 of the Standard this morning. And some of the persons who have lost their lives have been pictured in the Standard this morning. Now, 17 number of Kenyans who have died in police custody, leaving families searching for answers from likely perpetrators. From the Standard now to the Daily Nation, the headlining story is Protect Our Citizens, Kenya tells Tanzania. And diplomacy in a meeting led by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, the government yesterday demanded answers from Tanzania on the fate of Kenyans who have been caught up in the post-election crisis, asking Dodoma to guarantee their safety and to take action against any infringement of their rights. That is a story that you'll find on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. As well, Morning Baba, why grave visits will not end anytime soon. And this week, a group of mourners contacted the family of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga to visit Kango Kajaramogi, his resting place, but were shocked when they were told the next available slot is in December 30th. The program is jam-packed with hundreds of visitors streaming in daily, some 19 days after his burial. Despite her lingering sorrow at losing her husband, Ida Odinga continues to welcome mourners to her home in Bondo with remarkable grace and warmth. That is a story that you'll find on page 10 of the Daily Nation. Also pictured are people with herds of cattle and goat taking them to the farm of the house of former or late Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Now, business. Safaricom first half profit up by 52% on M-Pesa growth. Now, Safaricom reported a 52.1% rise in its half-year profit, and this is an equivalent of 42.7 billion, helped by a smaller loss in Ethiopia and M-Pesa double-digit growth. In education, 2,145 primary schools face closure merger as enrollment shrinks. The institutions across the country failed to meet the minimum enrollment threshold of 45 learners, says Education Ministry. And in courts, Kidero acquitted 213 million corruption charge, and court rules that former Nairobi governor and 5 others have no case to answer in trial that has taken more than 5 years. That is a story that you'll find on page 14. Matches that are going to be played over the weekend in the Premier League, and Tottenham Hotspurs is going to be hosting Manchester United, and that is the early match kickoff. It is going to be played at 3:30, and Everton is going to be playing against Fulham. West Ham United is going to be playing against Burnley, and Sunderland, they're going to be playing hosts to Arsenal, and Chelsea will be playing hosts to Wolves. And on Sunday, Aston Villa are going to be playing hosts to AFC Bournemouth, Brentford against Newcastle United, Crystal Palace against Brighton. This is going to be a match to watch indeed. And Nottingham Forest are going to be playing against Leeds United, and Manchester City are going to be playing against Liverpool. And away from that, now to the weather. In Nairobi, it is going to be partly cloudy with highs of 26 degrees and lows of 18 degrees. And in Mombasa, it is going to be partly cloudy with highs of 31 degrees and lows of 24 degrees. As in Kisumu, it is going to be partly cloudy with highs of 28 degrees and lows of 18 degrees. And in Moranga, it is going to be mostly cloudy with highs of 27 degrees and lows of 17 degrees. To your morning quote, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John C. Maxwell is the author of this quote. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And I hope that you find your way as you are going into the weekend, and you'll find your way back to Science TV and the Breakfast Show on Monday. Been your host, Alan Hubbard, Sign language interpreter Irene Chebiwo.